All right, so we're going to keep trying to do our show, although I don't know exactly how we're going to be able to do this, because Stugotz was saying during the break, should I even be doing weekend observations? And I'm saying to myself, like, let's just do the show. Let's do the show. That's it. I'm vulnerable. I'm not right, but let's just do the show. And so I want to do weekend observations, and we will do it during the next hour. But what I think is funny about Stugotz and Stugotz's inner turmoil and just how self-interested Stugotz is.
Before you get there, I was just throwing that out as a suggestion because they're not very good this week.
Well, wait, that's not even the most embarrassing thing that's going to happen in this segment, okay? Like, I know that you're trying to get out of weekend observations because you didn't work very hard on them, and you just threw a bunch of notes, a bunch of feces at Mike and tried to get him to organize them.
Why don't you pull up the email I sent you this morning?
Why don't you pull up the email that Mike Ryan sent you just this morning on how your weekend observations were sent? I don't want my level of conflict here. Do you realize that I've ended up in the same situation Cam Newton was in somehow, where I'm sitting here? Cam Newton is defending.
You did a better job than Cam did.
I don't feel like I have. I feel like I've done a worse one. I feel like I've done a worse one.
No, you done a tremendous job.
Because Stugotz, in this climate, you have to be very careful who you trust with vulnerabilities.
You've done a great job, Mr. Lebatard.
So we're going to get to weekend observations, but this is actually what happened, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you that these are back-to-back sentences inside the Stugotz, and he doesn't take inventory of what the feelings are. He doesn't see it as plainly, transparently as anyone else in the world does, but this is how it actually happened. Mike, these are two back-to-back sentences from Stugotz during the break, and then there's a third sentence that I'm going to come over the top on, and you're going to be like, I can't believe that this is how cutthroat he is.
Let me think back for a second.
I
know the third.
You just said, we were just talking about John Skipper, who just resigned as president of the company, and you just kept saying, repeating over and over again, I feel awful for him. I feel awful for him. And so I'm sort of sinking into my stuff, and I'm listening to him. I feel awful for him. And then the next thought I hear, I have a great friend who would be a great replacement as president of ESPN. It was the next thought. And then the next thing that came after that is, do you think I could ever be ESPN president?
Right. I mean, maybe look at my friend if I turned down the job, right?
Like, that's how it happened. Like, there's an opening. But first, it's like, I feel so bad for him.
Well, I do.
It's like watching football on Sundays. Oh, look, I feel so bad for that guy. His spine hurts. Hey, there's a new guy running in the same place where the old guy was.
But you got to move on while still keeping that guy in your thoughts. Like Ryan Shazier went down, and the Steelers eventually, once they got over the shock, they moved on while still feeling badly for him and having him in his thoughts. You got to move on.
Right. That is where self-interest resides. It's not exactly where human compassion exists.
I do feel terrible.
Right. No, but I'm saying, like,
John Skipper's been nothing but great to me.
But here's the thing, though. Here's what I would say is the distinction. I do believe that you think you feel terrible, but I would say that that's somewhat diluted when your next thought is, and who's going to be the next president? Like that. I
could see how you would arrive at that conclusion.
Mean painted such a vivid picture about what goes inside Stugotz's head, how it's just a factory of like 15 mini Stugotzes and a conveyor belt with thoughts. So he sees you actually feeling bad for John Skipper.
And so he feels the need to also feel bad.
So all 15 voices are, say you feel bad too.
That's right. That's exactly right. Say you feel bad. Say you feel bad. Say you feel bad. Say you feel bad. But there's one voice.
What about us, though?
Yes.
What does this mean for us? What does this mean for me?
There is one guy. Yes.
You could be the next president.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No. He goes, no, give him your friend's name. Give him your. And then no. What about?
No, wait.
Why would I give my friend's name if I could do it myself?
Hold on. I want to recreate this with the shipping container. Okay. I want you guys to be the four Stugotzes. Chris, Guillermo, Mike, and Roy are the four Stugotzes in his head. Now, there are more Stugotzes. There are 15 Stugotzes, and they are the factory line of workers. There's a foreman Stugotz. He's keeping the thought that everything. There are 15 Stugotz working in concert to get the thoughts to Stugotz's mouth.
All right, so let's do this in order. The three thoughts.
Okay.
Saying you feel bad.
No. I don't want to do it in order. I just want them all shouting. I want all because that's what it's chaos in there, right? They all want everything.
They address me as Mr. Gotts. Make sure you guys do the same.
Right. Okay. So now I want to recreate however that would sound like. I want you to imagine we're going to take you well deep inside of the head of Stugotz here. This is secret access nobody gets. This is wired for sound. You thought I was intimate and vulnerable in previous segments. This is deep inside the belly of the beast. We go now inside of the head of Stugotz as the president of ESPN publicly resigns.
Ooh. Oh. Wow. It looks sad.
Say you feel bad.
We have to be sad, too.
Is this real emotion?
Dan.
How do I process this?
How do we feel?
Say you feel bad, too.
Do I cry?
Do I cry?
What about us?
Tears? Crocodile tears.
What about us?
This is a sad day.
Wait a second.
Dance isn't sad. We're sad.
What about
Be
me?
sad. Be sad.
Ooh, what does this mean for me?
There's an opening. Hold on.
How do I make more money off
We have a
this?
friend. How I have a friend.
I need
Get the job.
Do I
The friend
invent
can give me more money.
Is it a real friend?
Wait a minute.
I go on the phone. Doesn't matter if it's a real friend.
You know who makes more money? It should be us. President.
Imaginary
We should be the president.
I should
Forget my friend.
President
No
John
friends.
Wiener.
I'm the
Sounds
friend.
great. Great title. Do I have an office?
I can do this.
This is easy. I just point a finger. This is great.
Get Argo on the phone.
I have people I can delegate to, right?
How's Dan responding to this?
We're great.
Is it good?
Eisner.
Does he think he'll back me up, right?
What does the president really do? Just a title.
Quick, mention more money.
Strike while the iron's hot.
I love that they all sound like John Lovett.
I actually heard all these things in my head.
I know. These Stugotz thinks we're acting. That's real sound.